Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back your lovely faces to another video here on the channel. Today we're going to take a look at a little incident to which Andy from here in the UK has sent to myself, Les, Stevie, Soups and a few others. They covered it in the live stream the other day. I haven't been able to look through this properly because I have been very busy this week with a lot of things going on. But now we're here, I'm going to cut this up because these parts are very long. Part 1 is 16 pages and part 2 is over 30 pages, so they will be split up into other days. You may get 2 videos in one day on the same subject, or you may get one long video for one part and vice versa. We'll see how it goes. But we're going to switch on over to it now because, like I said, we're going to get into it and these are just fabulous. So, Incident 2, March the 8th and 22nd, 2013, of LA, the painting and disco bloodbath incidents. Part 1. So, the summary of the incident. Her testimony of this incident is so inconsistent and so contradictory that it gives proof in itself as the impossibility of the events and this that she describes. Photographs and text messages given in evidence by her further provide irrefutable proof of her lies in respect of those allegations. In summary, she gave a testimony that the 8th of March 2013, at her home on Orange Avenue, Mr. Depp instigated an alcohol and this fueled argument during which he became enraged and attempted to set fire to a painting by her ex-wife, and thereafter he supposedly struck her so hard that blood hit the wall. As evidence came to light, the incident as described could have not taken place on the 8th of March, as she said on the day before the UK trial started. She submitted her 7th witness statement, testifying that the entirety of the incident had in fact taken place on the 22nd of March, same location, and that it was actually a separate incident that took place on the 8th. When it later became apparent to her that text message she has cited in support of allegation had been sent on an earlier date on the 12th of March, she simply gave new testimony on the witness stand, splitting the same incident such as the blood spatter had taken place at his penthouse on the 8th of March, and that the attempt to set fire to a painting had taken place at her home on the 22nd of March. Having testified in her final witness statement that the 8th of March was an entirely separate incident, she then testified in court that it was in fact part of the same described incident, but at a different location. This document is part 1 of the analysis of Incident 2 and focuses mainly on the alleged events of the 8th of March 2013. So, this is her declaration 10th of April 2019. The first testimony given by her as to the events of this incident was in her declaration given on the 10th of April 2019 as part of the Fairfax libel case. Irrelevant to this testimony is that it was given by her over 8 months before her first witness statement in the UK trial, and hence the incident was more fresh in her mind. What is also relevant is that the same declaration, although submitted into evidence as part of Mr. Drew's witness statement, was never referenced during the UK trial. In her declaration, she testified that March the 8th, 2013, LA, California, Johnny done this to me on the 8th of March 2013 in my home. On this particular incident, Johnny was getting drunk and was angry that I had hung up a painting given to me by someone I formerly dated. He tried to set fire to the painting the following morning. Johnny's team and I asked my sister Whitney to come over to try to intervene with him, which she did. At some point after she left, Johnny resumed his fight with me and done this so hard that blood ended up on the wall. In summary, she testified that during the night at her LA home, Mr. Depp, while drunk and this, became angry over a painting by her former partner, Van Ree, and that the following morning he had tried to set fire to the painting. Later that day, her sister came over and was asked to intervene, but after she had left the property, Mr. Depp then done this to her. So, now we're going to the first witness statement, 15th of December 2019. However, in her first witness statement in the UK trial, she greatly embellished and elaborated on the events of that incident. She testified that at her home in March 2013, Mr. Depp, while in rage and high on this, began arguing with her in regard to a painting from her ex-partner Tasha Van Ree that had become suddenly a big problem for him. She further testified that the ordeal lasted through the night and into the next day, during which time they had barely slept, and that Mr. Depp had done this to her with the back of his hand as a consequence of her having prevented him from setting fire to the painting. This whole ordeal of screaming and this went on overnight and into the next day. At some point he tried to set the painting on fire with his lighter. I had to physically stop him from trying to light it up. He did this with the back of his hand, some of which ended up on the wall. He had silver rings on. He always wore rings, and I think those might have been what drew the blood. At various points he grabbed me hard, shook me and shoved me into a wall. I couldn't calm him down. He was so angry and wouldn't let it go. He was doing this and we barely slept. She continues in her statement to describe how she spoke with his handlers, who were sitting in a car outside waiting for him, and that everyone tried various strategies to calm him down in order to get into the film set for a Keith Richards documentary. She added that she had then spoken to his sister Christy on the phone and that she had indicated to her that he was doing this, but she wasn't very helpful and seemed to suggest that I had been doing it with him. She testified that later in the day, at Mr. Depp's request, her sister Whitney also came over to the house, and that eventually they persuaded him to leave for the film set, and that she, Mr. Depp, and her sister all left together. Sometime in the afternoon, Johnny said something about my sister Whitney, so she came over to try to help. She was a bit of a buddy to him at the time. Eventually, we got him to calm down enough to leave the house. We got in the car, myself, Whitney, and Johnny. AH further embellished her statement in testifying that during the car journey, Mr. Depp took their dog Boo and held her out of the window of the moving car as some sort of joke or prank, while he himself was howling like a dog. That there is actually kind of funny because we have seen her actually do that of what she's saying. There's photos out there of her holding a dog, well, I think they're still out there, unless she has deleted them from Instagram, where she is holding her dog out of the window. She's projecting, which sadly is what these type of people do, narcissists. They project onto people. They try and say everything that they've done, which they know is bad. Other people have done it because they don't want to be found out. And to be honest with you, that is actually very, very sad. She concluded her account by coupling the subject matter, disco bloodbath, of a text exchange she had with Mr. Depp when this happened. We had a lot of fights and arguments, and he was high a lot. Johnny and I exchanged text messages after the incident where he mentioned a book called Disco Bloodbath and joked that it could have been about what happened, calling it a hideous moment. In her fifth witness statement, 26th of June 2020, she again confirms that the incident where Mr. Depp done this had taken place 8th of March 2013. On 10th of March 2013, I told Kate about Johnny doing this to me about Tasha. The day after the painting incident, 9th of March 2013, I sent a text to Kate telling her there was a long drama last night and I'll tell her the story later. Now what we're coming into is Andy's inconsistencies with what he's found, which again is just phenomenal. Everyone is, they've said little bits and bobs, but Andy, as you can see, he has put so much work into this, it's just brilliant. She vividly embellished her account of the assault from having been hit so hard that blood ended on the wall, to her new claim of having been struck by the back of his hand and that his rings did it. You obviously hit him in the face, the back of his hand, he always wore rings, those might have been what drew it. In a major shift from her early declaration, she had now testified that this happened as a direct consequence of her intervention in preventing him from setting the painting on fire, and that the assault took place at some point before her sister, Whitney, had even arrived at the property. Yet, in her earlier declaration, the attempt to set fire to the painting were two events that happened well apart from each other, and between which her sister Whitney had visited and left the property. There was no mention in Miss Heard's declaration of his expected attendance at the film set of the Keith Richards documentary, and nor could there have been, as that would contradict her later testimony that her sister had left the property alone, rather than them having all left together, while he held the dog out the car, as she says. At some point prior to the UK trial, she discovered that the date on which they had all left to the film set was in fact 22nd of March 2013, and thereby the date of 8th of March given in both a declaration and first witness statement cannot be correct. Consequently, on the 6th of July 2020, the day before the London libel trial, she submitted into evidence her 7th witness statement in which she hurriedly changed the date of the incident from the 8th of March to 22nd of March. As I explained in my earlier statements, there were numerous incidents of this in March of 2013, which coincided with Johnny's use. I now realise the incident I had initially described as having taken place on the 8th of March took place on the 22nd. There was a separate incident on the 8th of March. The incident I described involving the painting took place on the 22nd of March, which is apparent from the photographs now at tab 148F, which shows Johnny's This in My Kitchen at My House in Orange, and was on one of the days Johnny was due to be filming a documentary with Keith Richards. In her statement, she was clearly that only the date of the incident had changed, but not the location. I now realise the incident took place 22nd instead of the 8th, and that there was an entirely separate incident on 8th of March. Thereby, the date of the entire incident was changed by AH on the 8th to the 22nd, but no description was given of the new separate incident that occurred on the 8th. In the same witness statement, she introduced 2 photographs in support of her allegations, which she cited as the reason she discovered the error in the date she had previously given. The metadata for both photos show that them to have been taken on the 22nd of March 2013, so it is plausible, assuming metadata not to have been doctored, that in reviewing her evidence, AH realised that the date of the incident was in fact the 22nd and not the 8th. However, in her first witness statement, she looks to garner sympathy by claiming her innocence in respect of his behaviour. It was really out of the blue. I didn't have much familiarity with this kind of crazy behaviour at the time. This incident was unlike anything I had experienced with him up until that point. I didn't realise that it was a sign of what was to come. But then, in a panicked attempt to explain and bolster the change in date of the incident to the 22nd, she embellished her testimony with a contrary reminder that she had suffered numerous incidents at the hands of Johnny Depp prior to Incident 2. Witness statement number 6, 4th of July 2020. During the course of reading through these materials, I have now realised I cannot be sure that the painting incident took place on the 8th of March. There were numerous incidents of this in March 2013, and many fights over that month about the painting. Then you got witness statement number 7, 2 days later. As I explained in my earlier statements, there were numerous incidents of this in March 2013, which coincided with Johnny's use. Now we're going into the further changes of testimony. Part of her allegations in regards to Incident 2 was that Mr. Depp done this with the back of his hand, the rings. She supported and coupled her allegation of this with evidence from a text exchange between herself and Mr. Depp, in which Mr. Depp made reference to a book entitled Disco Bloodbath. She then jokingly asked if the title was about Last Friday. Just thought you should know that there exists a book titled Disco Bloodbath. That is all. We need that book. Is it about last Friday night by any chance? How can you make me smile about such a hideous moment? Yes, it is. Funny, this, I do this, love you, you. She was clearly in a final statement that the entire described incident had in fact taken place on the 22nd of March, and that there was a separate incident on the 8th of March. It is hence evident that neither her nor her legal team were aware at the time that the above text exchange happened on the 12th of March, and thereby her quip and her replying the text could not have been in regard to the alleged this on the 22nd of March, in which she claims that her spattered the wall then. To rectify this anomaly, however, she simply changed her testimony in court under cross-examination to split the one incident into 2, claiming that the attack by Mr. Depp was resulted in this did in fact happen on the 8th of March by the kitchen fridge of Mr. Depp's penthouse, number 3, and that she had always maintained such, and to give further credibility to this new incident, she replaced the alleged argument over the Miss Van Reef painting with new allegations of a fueled argument as a consequence of Mr. Depp's accusations of her having an affair with 2 people. So what we have now, we have the cross-examination, which we are going to stop by here though, guys, because we are running into 15 minutes, and I don't want you to be here all the time, because people got things to do, and I understand that. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much for coming along. Like I say, we will be carrying this on for the next couple of days. Hopefully, I may do a live stream of this actually for Incident 2, the part 2 I should say, so we can get all that done in one live stream. So, if you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell for future updates, and I'll see each and every one of you soon.